what would you say the CAM is evaluated at now?
We're like third in flower in the state, so we're doing about 3.6 to 4 million in retail. So nothing humongous, right?
Yeah.
Just for comparison, Steezy does 54 million, right? So even though we're third or fourth, there's a huge gap between 1, 2, and 3.
It's the Lasagna Ganja podcast. I'm Mr. X to the Z Xzibit.
And I'm Tammy, the Cannabis Cutie.
Yes, and we are here today because it's the Lasagna Ganja podcast.
It's
a
also
perfect
very
day.
high.
Yeah, but a perfect day to talk about cannabis. So let me ask you something. Tammy, how important is representation important in cannabis?
Of course. Yes, absolutely.
Speak on it.
The thing about the cannabis plant is it's a beautiful feminine plant. So cannabis plants are going to be a boy or a girl, or there's also intersex plants, which just means they have both parts, boy parts and girl parts. But for the most part, there's boys and girls, and what we're smoking, the buds, the flower, those are girls. We're smoking the girls. And essentially, we need the girl to be sexually frustrated so that she's not using all of her energy to produce seeds. We want her to produce flowers that have resin. So as she gets wetter, she's doing this to attract a mate.
We're still talking about marijuana, right?
Yes,
Holy
I'm getting
shit.
there. So when I think about how beautiful this plant is, the feminine aspect, because the boys are pretty much useless after we get their seed.
What
no
the
offense.
fuck? See,
this is just how.
now
it's
you're
how
talking
it
in
works.
subliminals. We don't do subliminals here.
It's how it works. It's nature. I don't know how else to explain it. Once he releases his seed,
so
good night.
The guys are useless, and the females are the most important.
Yes,
that's about right.
We have a whole industry dedicated to it.
Sounds about
we use
right.
boys in breeding. They're not completely useless, but the star of the show would be the women. So when I think about feminine brands and feminine cultivators, there's a different type of relationship, because one thing that we can both understand is that we have the ability to give life.
Yes.
And to keep that going. So there is an energetic connection between that, I think, versus, a lot of men are kind of prostituting the plant. It's like pimps.
So we do all the bad shit.
No, I mean, I have a lot of brothers, so.
Yeah, okay. So that's it.
Maybe it's trauma.
Yeah, trauma. These are trigger words.
So basically how I love to find feminine owned brands, especially feminine cultivated plants, but that's so hard to find in the market.
Yes.
So when we do come across them, we really need to support them and rally around them, because this is kind of the wave and the direction that we need to be going. So,
which brings us to this episode of the Lasagna Ganja podcast. We have a very special guest today. Her name is Anna Wiley.
Yeah.
And she is the owner, operator of CAM Cannabis. And listen, when I say owner, operator, I'm talking like keys open up the shop in the morning, walking through plants like Sergeant Slaughter.
Yes. All right. Let's go. This is what I'm talking about.
I'm very impressed with her organization. I'm very, very impressed with her. And we're going to talk to her today. Lasagna Ganja podcast.
I can't wait to talk to her.
Yeah. Let's bring her on.
Hey.
Yeah, all right. Come on in.
Come on. Let's do this.
All right.
Okay.
All right, good. All
Great.
right. We good?
Perfect. I'm good.
Okay, good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
Yo, thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
We celebrate those who we are close to our hearts. You know what I'm saying? And I really, really have a lot of respect for Anna. I got to tell a personal story about how we got together. I started my second cannabis company in 2020 with Napalm, and so when I was getting things together, we were sourcing smalls to do our grenades. We try to get production started. And some of the best flower were coming in that we had a delivery at the time when we self-distributing. So some of the best cannabis that was coming through our doors came from CAM.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize, I just was calling to see if I could get in touch with someone. And not only did she personally get on the phone and talk to me, she really like went out of her way to make sure that we were getting what we needed for our pre-rolls and everything. And the flower was always A+ and always above board. And I went up personally to Sacramento at the time, right?
Yeah.
I went up there to her place and saw the operation. Not only does she run this thing, you know, and it is a top-notch facility, but all of her front office, it was all empowered by women, and they all took their job very seriously, and they all respect her. It was very dope to see. And of course, the men were useless in the back, taking out the stems and the sticks, watering stuff, you know.
No, I mean,
That's important.
Eating bowls of porridge.
Lasagna.
It was dope. Yeah, it was really dope. So Anna, thank you for coming. That was, I support her and her mission. I will walk to the ends of the earth with this woman.
Oh, I feel the same way about you.
Yeah,
It's family
she's
style,
got it.
for
Yeah,
sure.
she's
'Cause
got it.
over the years, you kind of really, for anyone that's been in it for longer than like 3 or 4, you're
Mhm.
like, wow, you must really love it to
Right.
still be in it
Mhm.
because it's a daily grind,
Mm-hmm.
and it's similar to any type of business that you're starting. You have to embrace it because the first couple years, it's just tough. It's
Well,
hard.
let's back it up a
Let's
little
back
bit.
it up a little bit.
What did you do professionally before you got into cannabis?
So I've always been into cannabis. Started smoking weed at 13, and then and I was never like really a drinker, so I'd kind of just go with the flow. And in Queens, you didn't get very good product. It was mostly swag, mostly sensitive. It had seeds in it. You'd usually come in a tin foil. And then in high school, I worked for a company called The Service, which was just this huge underground operation in New York that delivers weed. And so if you ordered product between 2nd and Gold and Murray Hill, I would show up after school with, 2 1.2 grams. And, it was $60 a gram.
Wow.
Yeah, it was so expensive. And
Yeah.
everything was sour diesel.
Okay, yeah. That was the time.
Everything
Or
was sour.
Northern
Even though it was Blue
Lights.
Dream
Yeah.
Sour
Depths
diesel.
Yeah.
from NorCal. Yeah, it was blue. It was definitely sour
Yeah.
diesel. So, but we would notice when we actually got, good green bud, you'd get so excited.
Yeah.
Because, and especially OGs. I mean,
Yeah.
it was just a whole different
Mm.
experience back then. So, and I was like, you read High Times and you had this, but you're right. I'd never see any women, right?
Yeah.
Or if you did, they're, they were like they were in the garden, but they weren't.
Trimmers.
Yeah,
Mostly
exactly.
trimmers.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Or weed leaf bikinis.
Yeah, a lot of weed leaf bikinis, painted on bikinis.
Yeah, there's a thing called a potstitute.
Yeah.
They always
A
come
what?
around during harvest.
A potstitute.
I know the joke's going. They always want to talk to the head grower.
Yep.
They always,
Really?
yes.
Mhm.
And they're
Wait, the
always
growers have groupies?
favorite.
Oh yes.
Oh my
They're like
God.
celebrities.
The
yes.
growers in a grow. I mean, well, for just in general, somebody that grow like it's now. I feel like anyone that's watched a YouTube video is growing weed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
But I'm 45, so in like the early 2000s and the 90s, I mean, people that actually grew cannabis were gods.
Yeah.
And so, but yes, my parents are conservative Indian folks, so I went and got an applied math degree
Mm-hmm.
and worked in software for 12 years, and I worked at places like Computer Associates and SAP and IBM and
Yeah.
and did all sorts of different types and worked my way up. But what I really realized being a woman in corporate America is that I was getting a lot of like, you've hit your ceiling. And I'm like, I'm 28.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
That's
mean,
crazy.
That's crazy. What ceiling? I'm
Right.
literally 28 years old. So I knew that if I wanted to really do something, I had to start something on your own.
Yeah.
And in 2009, there was like a couple dispensaries in Denver. I had been kind of growing. I'd had full-blown corporate job, and then I had like a 6-lighter and an 8-lighter. So I was like a hobby grower, and was making, obviously at that time, it was $4,800 for a
Wow.
pound of OG. So you
Wow.
really make, like, it gave you a level of freedom that you could kind of do and say whatever you wanted at your corporate job, because you knew that you were, I mean, that's really what
Yeah.
money brings you. It's not the financial aspect that's so appealing. I mean, money's important, but it's the freedom that you get from having that.
Yeah.
And so in 2009, I did try to raise capital in 2009. People thought I was out of my, they're like, "Do you say pot?"
Weed. Yeah.
They're like, "Are you trying to get me to go to jail?" I'm like, "I don't
Yeah.
know. You invested in pets.com.
Yeah.
That's like, I have a deck and I have a
Yeah.
balance sheet. I mean, so there's like a couple stores that had opened in Denver at that point, and I just rented a 5,000 square foot warehouse and a 2,400 square foot retail in Denver, across the street from each other. And I just started. I didn't
Wow.
really know too much about construction, and I learned the hard way.
Yeah.
Hired subs. And then by year 3, I had started to get my general contractor's license. So I could actually, like,
Wow.
my GC, so I could actually pull a 1C and build the infrastructure to build cultivation facilities
Wow.
And at this time, you were doing this without partners.
without any partners. So it was amazing, though, because the year that when we opened in 2009, it was me and like 5 of my friends, 5 guys that we all grew in homes.
Okay.
And so we would support each other, and they would put their product on my shelves. And so we would kind of help each other.
Yeah.
It was such a community aspect there, because you know that if you didn't go to your friend's house to trim, then no one was going to come to yours.
Yeah.
So it was a real community. And then there was the online community with like International Cannabis and overgrow.com. And there was, I mean, that's where you found out ICMAG and Overgrow is where you kind of got your weed knowledge.
Okay.
Just talking to folks. And the first harvest like that I ever grew, all males.
Wow.
Did not know they were males. So I was posting photos, yes, of with like huge nut sacks too. I'm like, I was like, strange. I have a special strain. This must be a special version of
Nobody told you?
No, I mean, yeah, they did on the forums. It was
Oh,
it was yes.
no. They
Oh,
beat
like
you up.
just yeah.
Oh,
They were like, this
no.
is why the only thing girls should be doing, is the
Oh.
pregnant, barefoot, stay out of the grow room type
Yeah.
conversations. But I had a really good mentor in Fort Collins that at the time we grew blueberry, Fort Collins cough, Afgooey, and then we finally got one cut of OG. It was sickly. It had aphids, but
Ew.
but that's where it started. It was good. I mean, it was different then, and also obviously extremely not legal
Yeah.
to grow in homes. So
Yeah.
you had to really, really love. Same thing as it is now.
Yeah.
Like either really love for the risk, or now you have to really love it because it's a lot harder to be. There's a lot of competition.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's very interesting to hear you speak about the love of the plant, but it is a business.
It's a business.
And you've run a really successful business. How long has CAM been on the market?
Since 2009 in Colorado, and then I had a little break. I sold off that business in Colorado
and came to California.
And came to California.
Okay. So what's your experience been like on the business side of California? Walk us through the good, the bad, the ugly of opening not only the business but the grow and getting into the marketplace.
I think I had extraordinary. I think this was my 10th building with 20 Blue Sky Court, which was like it's 25,000 square feet.
Oh, wow.
I was so lucky to land in Sacramento. They were super business friendly. They wanted cannabis businesses. There was tons of exciting brands out there, Connected, Alien Labs. And so there was just huge growth, and there was just a big community of cannabis growers, and there had been dispensaries there since Prop 215. Because I looked in Oakland first, and I couldn't find a normal building. I
Yeah.
couldn't find a normal landlord. Everybody wanted either 30% of the business or just some really, really interesting, you know, I'm like, I'm just looking for either like to buy a building or I'd like to lease a building. It's the only thing I'm looking for. Some, you know, in the green area, they kind of gave you, you know,
zoning.
the zoning, which is always,
businesses are
which
allowed
is
to exist.
usually literally the worst section of town.
Or a
A
business.
lot of Dollar Trees over there.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, oh, you know, and while you're at it, why don't you do some beautification? Why don't you fix up the sidewalk, put in $40K worth of tree, you know, all of that. So I was really lucky to find a great building in SAC. So that part was great. The licensing part, no problems. The getting into market was a whole other, I mean, I came out of the gate and I had brought all these strains from Colorado that I thought were it. It was like 90 versions of OG Kush. Like I had kosher, PK, SFV, LA Kush, 92 OG, Hell's Angels OG. I don't know if I can say that, but
yeah, absolutely. You hear the shit I say half the time.
Death Star. Okay, let's just say it was behind the times.
Yeah.
So I came here and everybody was growing cookies, right? And even then, like I think a year after that, like Runts had, you know, had already like started. And there were so many amazing new, and then the color. And I wasn't growing any of that. So to break into the market, I was just selling wholesale pounds to Candescent and like 3 other people. And it was just kind of hand to mouth.
Yeah.
And I'd had like, I was planning to because I had a really vibrant, alive brand in Colorado, but it was kitschy in Colorado. It's still like deli style.
Yes.
Pop top containers. It just, there wasn't any real brand, you know, branding and packaging. And then when I came here, I was like, holy cow, this is where all the adults
Yes.
and hundreds of millions of dollars of marketing budget and all of that. So I decided at that time, I'm like, you know, let's take obviously I can't compete and I don't want to bring in investment just yet. So just, you know, grow what you can. And I started, so that first year it was tough for sure. The second and third year, once we kind of got into stores and I was lucky enough, a lot of people gave me breaks. I mean, we came out to the market, everybody else was like 27, 28, and I came out at $18. And I did all the parts. I mean, I had and it's all about the team.
Yeah.
Because I had a couple people, shout out to Sarah, she came out from Colorado, and Mike and George and Ryan, and some of the first employees are still with me.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so I feel really, really lucky that these folks just, you know, believe, because in the beginning, especially when you're the third or fourth person in a company that's kind of, you know, those people really have to love you and believe in your vision to kind of stick with it.
Yeah.
So I you know, like Ryan was going to school to become an electrician. I'm like, well, it's like a 50-50
It's a gamble.
fight.
It's a gamble. Yeah.
And now, you know, now he runs like an entire 2,000 life facility. So we're
That's amazing.
yeah, but it's about, at this time, it's really about just building the team, you know, and I think that that's really important. You know, what kind of folks are you hiring? How can you keep those people happy and retain the talent? I think that's a huge piece of it.
Do you mind talking about numbers? Or
Let's talk about it.
Okay, cool.
All
So what would you say the CAM is evaluated at now?
We're like third in flower in the state, so we're doing about 3.6 to 4 million in retail. So nothing humongous, right? Just for comparison, Steezy does 54 million, right? So even though we're third or fourth, there's a huge gap between 1, 2, and, you know, 3. So we also just came out with a, you know, vape pen. So we're doing about 36 million. It's a healthy business.
Absolutely.
And we have about 87 employees. We do the whole gamut. So we produce and we distribute. I think that's a huge piece of it, to make sure that the product gets to the stores on you know who you're selling to.
Mm-hmm.
That way you're having that relationship with the bud tenders, with the store, with the
Yeah.
buyers. And then if product's sitting, which it does,
Yeah.
sometimes a lot of strains don't hit.
Yeah.
You never know, especially when we're
Exactly.
growing like 50,
Yeah.
50,
Mhm.
you know. Making sure that you can get that product off the shelf and replace it with new stuff and keep it fresh.
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
it's literally like food.
Oh yeah. I definitely, when I shop, I ask,
Package date,
yes,
cultivation date.
yeah, harvest date and
Harvest
then
date,
package date.
yes.
Yeah. And if it's 6 months,
3 months.
don't even, yeah, like I get in, I'm so embarrassed sometimes. Like I went to another state and I was looking at the dates and it was like
A year.
9 months.
Yeah.
And I was like, you guys are selling this at full price? Yeah,
Plus
it's
tax,
insane.
which is like
Plus tax.
$37.
Yeah, so that's a tip for people who are shopping at dispensaries. Ask for what's fresh. That's so important.
Ask for what's fresh. Ask what's new for a drop,
Mm-hmm.
for a brand. If you're trying to support a new brand or you're trying to try something new, make sure if they say all the package dates for a newer, I would hold off
Mm-hmm.
because you only have like, I'd say 2 chances with the customer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if they like your stuff the first and second time, and they buy it a third and it's bad,
Yeah.
they might come back.
Yeah.
They have like 300 other options
Yes.
at 200 other price points.
Yeah.
And we're kind of at the top end of being expensive.
Okay.
And I went from being the cheapest and we were like value to being one of the most expensive because we've been able to hold price. So
Top
that's-
shelf.
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. top
And
shelf.
but
And it's a volatile market. You know, people will cheat. It's a race to the bottom if you do it wrong. Yeah.
yeah, it is. And we're also learning that there's different strokes for different folks.
Mhm.
So you have to maybe have a brand that does mid shelf and maybe even something
Have an
that
economy
does,
line to it.
economy line to
Right.
it.
Yeah,
And
there's a lot of new people to products and they don't want top shelf. They
no,
don't
Right.
they wouldn't even appreciate
or they're
it.
volume smokers.
Yes.
And
Right.
they just want to buy an ounce of smalls or
Mhm.
really small or shake or
Right,
something
right.
like that.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. So I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
that, you know, it's whatever you find, and it's also body chemistry.
Mhm. Sure.
So some folks are going to get really, really high. Like I have it's insanely high tolerance.
Yeah.
So some folks are going to get really, really high off, you know, maybe something that we would not.
We would consider a mid.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's different there's
You can
different
say bullshit. It's
No,
okay.
we can say. I mean, I
we
was
say
like,
bullshit.
yeah,
They're called mids,
yeah,
Pretendica.
mids, yeah, yes, that's a good term. That's an old school.
Pretendica.
Yes, that's a good
Yes,
old
right
school.
here on Lasagna Ganja.
Pretendica
Vocabulary.
indica.
Yeah, it's a cool thing that you bring up chemistry because we have talked about the endocannabinoid system, also called the ECS, and how everybody's body is going to react differently to the plant, just like we all react differently to food and different herbs and spices. So for some people who are like, oh, I want the best, most expensive, like, do you even know what it smells like? What do you like? So for the connoisseurs is what I call them. CAM is definitely one of the ones. It's a connoisseur brand. But like, if you're new to weed, I'm gonna definitely recommend more mid-tier, mid-price stuff. Like, don't waste your money. Like when people are like, you can smell the difference between strains. Like, don't waste your money. Just get the cheap stuff and work yourself up.
Work yourself into it,
Yeah.
and then find how you want to smoke, right? Whether and I think that, and it's the same thing with the when you're trying concentrates. It's just ease into it,
Yeah.
so that way, especially for women, I want women to have like a really good experience. I think a lot of times folks will jump into edibles because they don't want to smoke.
Mhm.
But an edible is a completely different drug.
Yes.
I hope
Mhm.
everyone knows that. It
11
literally-
hydroxy THC.
Yes, exactly. It is not
Yes.
anywhere close to what you are going to have the experience of
With
smoking.
Correct. 2 different highs.
2 completely different highs.
Yes.
And whether it's live rosin gum, I mean, there's even that. There's a breakdown of that and how how your body actually emulsifies it.
Live
So,
rosin gum.
Gummies.
gummies.
I was about to say gum, chewing gum.
No,
but
live rosin, live
You know
rosin.
that's next.
Bring it
There you
on.
go. That's
Gum,
a skew.
Yeah, that's next.
Skew. That's
Oh, wait,
next.
I've seen gum.
No, gum is happening.
Yeah, I've seen gum.
Yeah, gum's
Do you
happening.
guys have concentrates?
We
Do
have
ladies have concentrates?
we ladies have we just came out with a 1 gram vape
Okay.
that's live resin. So
Okay.
it's made with our flower.
Okay.
And we're excited about that. But we're a flower. We're a flower
Yes.
company.
I'm a flower girl.
I just want to stay I know we have to do all these other SKUs, and we're doing very little of them.
Yeah.
But our lane is flower.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
we're
love
going to stay that way until someone tells me otherwise.
Yeah.
There are a bunch of states, though, where it's changing,
Yeah.
where there's more concentrates
Yeah.
being sold.
Concentrates are definitely becoming a new thing. I love flower. If I do concentrates, it's usually going to be like a live rosin. I even want to learn how to make it with my flat iron.
Yeah, you can.
What?
You just take, you just take.
I've never
you can
done
squish it.
Yeah,
You
you
squish
just
it. Literally,
squish it with
parchment
paper and then,
put the buds in, and then you can just literally press it.
Okay, cool. So another weekend project. Thanks. I made some butter last weekend.
We can do
Parchment paper it is. Postmate it.
We can straighten our hair
and make
cash.
And
we
make
can make cash and get high all at the same
Wow.
time.
Multifunctional.
So now, what is the future plan for CAM? Like, what do you see this going? What's your ceiling?
So what I am learning, I think there was a couple years ago, Home Depot, they shrunk to grow. They actually closed down a bunch of stores. So we just opened up a 2,000 light facility. That has been a challenge. Definitely has pushed all aspects of like my patients.
Give us some examples, like not too much, not revealing too much, but give us some like off the top. What do you think the worst ones
of opening up a 2,000 light facility?
Yeah, what are some of the stress?
I think the stresses are stressing out your current team that already has a ton of responsibilities, that is operating and working a vibrant brand and doing all the responsibilities that they have day to day, and then saying, hey, guess what, here's a whole new other set of, you got to train all these new folks. So I think that training, getting talent, I think it's really hard to find. Wherever you are, it's hard to find good people.
Hiring and retaining. Yeah.
Hiring and retaining, and then making sure that those folks are happy. And just like you want your plants to be in a good environment. Yeah. And environment's everything for cannabis plants. I think it's the exact same way for people.
Yeah.
So I think that the environment that you're...
They feel it. They absorb what is around them, which is why the music has to be good.
Yes.
You do not want to stress out. Like, could you imagine a stressed out cultivator, like dealing with plants? Like, that's not going to be a plant that probably is able to express the way that it could if it was in a healthier, stress-free environment.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. So and then turning everything on at once, right? I mean, you're harvesting about 200 pounds every 2 days, getting all of that processed and making sure that there's something there, like from quality standpoint, package versus bulk.
Yeah.
So
that's a lot of hands on deck.
And then commissioning. So we have, almost 180 HVAC units, but commissioning all the HVAC units while plants are in the room, because you have no other way to do it. You have to actually turn it on to see if it works, and then see if it's going to be able to hold your VPD and hold your humidity and temp. And just watching. I mean, I don't know who was building HVAC during COVID, but it might have not been HVAC people. We definitely got some units that just came dead on arrival.
Wow.
And just kind of working through that so the construction stuff and making sure your folks are happy. But we're really, I mean, it's thriving.
Yeah.
And I expected 12. I think I expected 6 to 8, and now I can say for any new facility, give yourself 12 to 18 months. It's 12 to 18 months to really get something dialed in. And if it starts off really bad, that doesn't mean you can't get to really good.
Yeah.
So with anything,
right.
I think anything that you start off, people are like, oh, wow, it didn't happen for me on my first try.
Yeah.
Well, it's tried 10,000 more times.
Yeah.
You got to get to 10,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like success, is that a quote? Success is just extreme failure?
Yeah, it's extreme failure. It's just someone that's going to get up the next day and do it again.
Yeah.
So
keep getting back up.
Yeah.
That's also the definition for insanity, but that's another show.
Well, I think, successful people are insane, right?
No, we're insane.
You
for
love
sure.
to be rejected that many times and keep trying.
Oh, no, trust me. You're preaching to the choir.
No, don't do the same thing, though. I mean, that is a definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results.
Right.
But if you do something a little bit different and try to better yourself on each round, I think that's the most exciting part about cultivation, especially with all the data and just the tools that we have.
Yeah.
There was, I mean...
Yeah, I mean,
I was lifting pots. I mean, to see if
Dude,
we
I
had
was moving
dry bag.
pallets.
You know, yeah, and moving. I mean,
I was
there's
moving pallets,
yeah,
3
there's
a.m.,
not yeah,
opening doors.
Wow.
wild,
I
wild.
I would never ask anybody to do something I haven't done myself.
Okay.
So
That's
that's
it.
the way I run my companies.
Okay.
It may not be the best way because you have to draw the line somewhere between, you are
No
working
way.
for me and not with me. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but you have a special group of people like Anna has,
Mm-hmm.
where it's a family environment. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And they
It
believe in
becomes,
it.
it can become a shit show if you bring your friends. I stopped hiring friends.
No friends.
Yeah.
No
I
friends.
stopped hiring
Yeah.
friends and family too.
Yeah. Friends and
Family's got it.
family,
Yep, that doesn't work either.
Never
That doesn't
again.
work
Yeah.
either.
Never again.
I
I
agree.
always become the bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
I always become fuck him.
And no
Mhm.
matter what you
look,
give on the family and friend side, it's not enough.
It's never
gonna be
enough.
It's not enough.
It's never
And so
enough.
they're like,
enough.
well,
I was
why
like,
are
I
you
can't give you a life, bro.
Yeah,
You know
why
what
are
I'm
you
saying?
doing
Like,
so well? Why?
yeah.
Well, I provide a job, health benefit. I mean, this is what
Yeah.
I can give right now,
Yeah.
right? I would like to give you more, but also,
Yeah.
what are you giving? Like what? Like it's a
Yeah.
give and take. I
Mm.
think that, and it's really hard
They
to
don't want to
do
hear that part.
No, they
Well,
don't.
being successful in business is having healthy boundaries.
Yes.
And learning friends and family can't be people that you do business with because it gets personal. It feels personal, but it's business. It's like, well,
Yeah.
why do you feel like you could talk
You
to
got to
me
take
that way?
all the
But
emotion out
yeah,
of
and
that
it's
part of it.
easier to do that with strangers.
Right.
So yeah, and I think that's dope that you kind of both learned that lesson in business. I learned it the hard way too. It was not fun
No.
at all.
Not fun.
Yeah.
Super tough. And you want to, and the other part is that you want to bring, especially, I mean, I grew up in section housing, and when you grow up poor, you want to bring everyone with you.
Yeah.
There's something in you that wants to bring everyone with you when you're even having a little bit of success.
Right.
Yeah.
Not in the beginning when it's hard.
No, not in the beginning. It's hard, but
They
once,
coming in when
yeah,
the shit starts looking shiny.
yeah,
Yeah.
they do.
Mhm.
Yeah, everybody,
Yeah,
everybody
dude.
shows up. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. But I will say that it's lonely at the top or whatever it is. It's because your circle is going to get smaller,
Mhm.
and some folks are going to be able to keep up with you and really support you
Mhm.
through your growth, and they're doing their own stuff too.
Yeah.
And that's what's exciting.
Mhm,
And
finding those
I
people.
continue to like meet a lot of folks that are they're even through this really difficult time, they're really succeeding. And so I'm always excited to meet new people. And
Yeah.
Are you self-motivated or do you need a support system?
no, I'm super self-motivated. I think that when you grow up with not much, you always have this chip on your shoulder that you could get back to that relatively pretty easily.
Yeah.
And so you always want to keep working and kind
Yeah.
of grinding. Plus, I like it.
Yeah.
I can't imagine just not getting up and I like that sense of purpose. Going, looking at plants. I mean,
Yeah.
so the minute that I'm tired of walking through rows and looking at plants and looking at veg plants and smoking weed, then I'm going to quit.
Yeah.
That's
Not anytime soon.
That's your ceiling.
Yeah, that's my ceiling. When I'm not interested in those things, or it becomes burdensome, or it's not. That's the other thing. I think that you can do a couple years where you're not making money. It's an okay, but after, I think the IRS says after 3 years, if you don't turn a profit, it's a hobby.
Mm.
It's a good kind of yardstick for a
Mhm.
business. You give yourself
Okay.
3 years.
If
Yeah.
somebody came right now, wanted to 5x, 10x buy you out, would you sell?
I would. I mean, everything's for sale, I would say, but I would like to still be involved in my business because I think that's what not now, not right now. I mean, like, we're launching in like 8 states, so I kind of want to do something different and actually make it grow. I think that when you sell your business or when you partner, I mean, the bottom line is as soon as you take on a partner, take on a financial, you've sold parts and now you have shareholders and you have people to answer to. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think it can actually make you grow as a business owner. You kind of need some of that sometimes to get to the next level. So I was super lucky to find a partner that kind of sees my potential.
Mhm.
There's not too many people wandering around being like, oh yeah, let's give lots of money and opportunity to small brown people.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
yeah,
I agree.
I mean, it's really hard. I mean,
Yeah.
you can show your best foot forward. So I got really lucky in finding someone that and he just kind of, he's like, okay, just do your thing. And
He trusts you.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I look at that capital and that investment as if it's my own. And even though it's not, I treat it like a loan because, and I think some of that's missing from cannabis is that people just take in money and be like, it has to, the whole point is to return the capital and then some,
Right.
and make it into this perpetual, money making machine.
Right.
But that comes with creating culture, being dedicated to putting out whatever level of quality, whatever your brand's quality attributes are, try to stick to them.
Yeah.
And stay in your lane.
Absolutely.
Man, a plethora of knowledge coming from Anna Wiley, owner, operator of CAM Cannabis. What is your philosophy on business first, and what is your vision for your cannabis?
My philosophy for business is that you should always be in startup mode. You should always be looking at your business as if it's a startup, and then you'll have lots of growth. And then the second thing is get to default alive, so that you can't default your business. And then for the vision,
What is default?
meaning that your burn rate isn't exceeding what you're bringing in, so you're cash flow positive.
That'd be called upside down for people in the hood.
Yes. So save for a rainy day. The taxes are debilitating in this business. It's a debilitating, but guess what? It's going to change, and something has to change. And I think that, even though I'm very apprehensive of Schedule 3, I really am.
Me too.
I really think it's just another ploy to do all sorts of strange things.
But
I
agree.
I would like to. I'm pro descheduling, as we were promised.
Yes, descheduling.
Anyone
But I
out
mean, we've
there?
been promised since Jimmy Carter.
Yeah.
I know. Nobody's done anything. Like every
no one has
red or
literally-
blue. It's like
no one
I get
has done anything.
so irritated seeing
don't even start with
yeah,
me.
the fighting about he said he was going to do this. Like none of them are going to do anything.
None of them are going to do anything because no one wants to be known as the guy that legalized
Exactly.
weed.
They don't want
So
that.
They don't want that, but they want to say it.
Why not? That'd be cool as fuck.
Because you have they're appealing to the swing voters. The swing voters have the power, and they're very much sensitive to certain topics, including cannabis. So you have to appeal to them. The rest of us, they don't care. It's the swing voters that have the power, and they're very sensitive to law and order. So when Biden did the whole expunging, he made sure to expunge people who weren't in jail. So he wasn't putting criminals out into the street.
Like 4 people.
Yeah, so he wasn't putting criminals out into the street. So that's what we have to understand. It's like everybody else, if you're not in a swing state, they're not paying attention to us or our needs. They're specifically looking at how to win. And so because of how they feel on cannabis, it's not the right time.
So let's just call up the swing voters and give them some weed.
Thank you. We need to hit the
Be
swing
like, hey, man,
as far as like cannabis education
get out of your
goes,
swinger
yeah,
parties.
let's go
I'm
that
ready.
way.
Come out of your swinger parties and smoke a joint with us, and we'll be cool. And then,
but
you guys can go back to swinging.
We also they're also not going to give it to us until they can figure out how to benefit from it too. So
and then and adding like a 16 or 25% federal tax onto what's going on right now,
which I don't think the federal government deserves any tax dollars. Like, you mean to tell me now that over 40 plus states have legalized the stuff, you're like, let me get my cut after you put us all through hell?
Your cut by having folks in prison work for 3 cents.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
they're getting their
they've
cut.
already
They're
gotten.
profiting from the war on drugs. Yeah.
They've been getting.
Yeah,
So,
it's successful for them. They get bodies put in jails. They get free or cheap labor. It's such a win.
Descheduleize cannabis, please.
Please.
Schedule.
Next president. That should be a sticking issue. We're going to take this to Washington.
I mean, there's people already trying to do the good work, but the lobbyists pretty much own they own the
And that's where
Congress
that's where as an industry we hurt.
Yeah. And we don't have lobby money.
We don't have lobby money.
We don't have it.
And
Yet.
it's because we give all our money to the taxes.
Correct.
So if we didn't, then they know that, and then we would be stronger together.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what I'd like to see come back to in the next couple of years. You said vision for cannabis. For me, it's, we're trying to grow a company, and we want you to buy the product because it's great product, and it's secondary. You happen to be supporting women and women empowerment, and I think that's wonderful. But it's also there's a minority component to that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a community component to that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a legacy operator component to that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that all those things together kind of build a pretty decent story, and it's authentic.
Yeah.
Well, you got my vote.
Me too.
It's going down. The Lasagna
you.
Ganja podcast. We got Anna Wiley here, CAM Cannabis. How do they get in touch with you?
You can hit us up on Instagram at Camster007, and you can find us in 350 shops in California.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Well, are you at liberty to talk about the other states you're going into?
Yes, absolutely. We just launched in Colorado, so that was
Oh,
kind of
you
cool.
went home. Oh,
I went home,
yes.
which is great. And then we're launching in Michigan, Illinois, Maryland, and as soon as New York gets it together.
Okay.
When are you going to be in Illinois?
I think in December.
Awesome.
Amazing.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Chi-town.
Yes. I love seeing women in weed kill it, especially in the flower and cultivation space. It's so male dominated.
It's
so male dominated.
It's a lot of dudes.
Yeah.
For sure. It is.
Dude fest.
Sausage party.
Yes.
Dude fest 2025.
It's bro-teenies.
Oh my gosh.
But
yes.
I love my what's kind of cool is that with women leaders or women bosses or whatever you want to call it, I think that we really bring that. You work with me, like you were saying, you work with me, not for me. We're more empathetic.
Yeah.
The plants are women. We're women. We want to take care of, like, I mean, I love feeding people. I have that, and I bring that into like
nurturing.
Yes. I want to take care of you. So, and we have the hire to retire mentality, which is I hire you, and then hopefully we treat each other so well that you'll want to retire with me.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
that's amazing.
and that might be like a 4-year run, right? It doesn't have to be forever. It can be like until that person, or whenever I can't offer opportunities to folks, maybe they're way smarter. They could be growing at a faster rate. I will actively try to find them
That's
a
amazing.
different position in a place that is maybe growing faster, especially when we just had the one warehouse. I think it was hard there were definitely folks that were ready to get out of that hourly rate. You know what I'm saying? They had learned a lot. They could probably run and grow on their own. And if we didn't have that position open, I mean, that's the cool thing about growth. The cool thing about scale and growth is that you're able to offer all your people to scale with you. It's hard and it's painful. There's nothing fun about it.
Yeah.
But it is an opportunity to like actually grow.
Yeah.
Yeah. In their careers. So I think that's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Oh man, you got me
that.
feeling all warm and fuzzy over here.
Yeah.
But it's a harsh marketplace, but you do it with style. You make it look
Thank
easy.
you.
Yeah.
We're trying.
Yeah.
Some days are better than others.
Check out CAM Cannabis. Go do yourself a favor, grab something. What do you got? Any new strains coming?
We're growing. We have got Devil's Driver, which is our new sativa.
Okay.
And
Devil's
then
Driver,
we have,
nice.
Brunts, which is runs crossed with biscotti, crossed with Z.
Okay.
Then we have Scotty's Cake, which is a wedding cake cross.
Okay.
And then I'm bringing back this year all the OGs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So LA Kush, PK, Kosher, SFV, and then high octane. Larry.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys remember Larry.
Oh,
OG.
of course, yes.
Yeah. It's a good one. So we'll see. I'm excited.
All right.
Looking forward to it, man. I can't wait to get some.
Thank you.
She came to Boston. Let's
I brought
roll
some
up.
stuff. Let's do it.
Yeah.
The Lasagna Ganja podcast. I'm Mr. X to the Z Xzibit.
And I'm Tammy, aka the Cannabis Cutie.
Yes. Signing off. Where can they find us?
DCPofficials.com or where all major podcasts stream.
That's right. X to the Z, and we out. We got another one.
Check out the Lasagna Ganja podcast wherever podcasts are streamed.
And check out our separate feed with video episodes.
Available on Spotify and YouTube.
For more information, visit dcpofficial.com.